All right, here we go. John Salley, welcome back.
On the best show on YouTube.
There we go.
That's
Best
right.
show on YouTube.
Best hip hop show on YouTube. Most viewed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hands down.
Hands down.
Hands down. Say what you want. The numbers are the numbers.
The numbers don't lie.
That's
is what
right.
we
Check the
say in
scoreboard.
basketball. The numbers don't lie. Neither does the film.
There we go. There we go. You're actually back.
Yes.
From filming a Disney movie.
Yeah, I did a Disney Plus movie, a great movie called Sneakerella. I play Darius King. It's dope. It's a hip hop musical. I'm gonna say it got hip hop in it. It's musical. It's dancing. It's a huge Disney production. Great director, Liz Allen. Choreographers had Ebony Nicole and Emilio and Amanda. Like, I'm telling you, when you see this, and they were working their hardest to get me to do these steps, man. And so,
you're dancing?
Well, I supposed to be. I know Ebony is gonna laugh when I said this, Emilio. They were like, well, like, give it to me. I was like, yeah, I'll give it to you. But I'm more of a Jay-Z hip hop guy. I'm more of a Nas hip hop guy. I like KRS. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a MC Hammer rapper. So that would have been animated, but it was cool. There was a lot of NBA players up for the part. And I did my rap. I did Lottie Dottie because you had to send it in on tape.
Oh.
And
okay.
And I had my cigar in my hand. So my director said, I almost didn't cast you. I said, because of the cigar? She goes, yeah, like you were looking like so cool. Is he gonna move when I say move? I was like, I'm an actor. Like, these are scenes. I look, in these scenes, I'm gonna give it to you in the scenes. Even when we were rehearsing, they were like, yeah, you know that. And I was like, I'm a game time player. I said, when it counts, because I don't want to give you my best in practice. I want to give you my best during the performance.
Okay.
So it's like early calls, like 5:30 calls, 5:30 a.m. Barely slept. It felt like a game. It was a game because you gotta be yourself in the character, which is to people who act understand what I mean. You have to. A great actor there, Brian Terrell Clark, said when you're doing a scene, they cast you because they want to see you as the character, but you are not the character, but your personality and your nuances into the character. So there was times during the day I let them know, I'm Mr. King today. Like, don't question me, don't basketball me about NBA stuff. I run a huge company. And the crazy is that this is a family business. And 30 years ago, I started a family business with my own sneaker brand called Osaga. And I won a championship in them. And we sold at Kenny's shoe store, $60 a pair, 1990.
Okay.
And no one knows what Kenny's shoe store is. Maybe we shouldn't have done it with one shoe store. But now I got with Rock Deep, same people Delight got with. I saw Delight had his own shoe, and I was like, how'd Delight get his own shoe? And in his bio, on his Instagram, the rapper Delight, he says professional athlete. I was like, I'm a professional athlete. Well, I got paid for it. So I restarted our family business. So Deuces was coming out about 2 months. But at the release of this movie, when they release it on Disney Plus, right after release of it, we released the other brands. I'll give the names once they're secured, but the other brands. So you'll be wearing some, you can wear Nike or Adidas. I think that's cool. I wanted an Adidas collaboration, like Pharrell. Pharrell like beat me to the punch. All eco-friendly shoes, or I would say vegan, plant-based, no leather, man-made materials, man-made glue, chemical glue, no animal, anything. So it sticks to my whole brand, and they're fly sneakers. This guy Rock can really design. He designed for Nike, but kept all his good stuff to himself.
Dope.
So that's it. I'm back in the sneaker game.
Okay. And you're rapping in this movie?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Have
K
you
to
ever
the
rapped
I,
up-
N to the G. Don't you want to fly through the world like me? It's pretty dope.
Okay.
Whoever wrote it, when I was in the studio, Vlad, I go in and there's a rapper there, and the guy who wrote it and who's in charge of all of this music, and you have to give it because when I get on stage, I got to perform it just like you hear it. It may seem like lip syncing, but I got to remember each line. The camera's moving, 12 times, 12 different shots. So behind me, on the side of me, up close to me, and then the two stars of the movie is Chosen and Lexi Underwood. And I knew Chosen was talented. I watched him, kid giving me unbelievable, he's 20 years old, unbelievable acting lessons. And then I go on his YouTube and I see like he's a rapper, singer. This kid is everything. I guess with that name Chosen, his mother knew what she was doing. And then Lexi Underwood is on Little Fires Everywhere. She plays an unbelievable job. So me being there, realizing I'm in royalty. Like these cats are going to be the next cats. Like Lexi, bananas. If you watch Little Fires Everywhere. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. I wind up, and I don't really watch television that much. I wind up going back just to watch her performances. She's Kerry Washington's daughter on Little Fires Everywhere. But then Chosen, the dance scenes, what it looks like, because I got to go behind the camera and look at it too. I'm happy. I'm usually happy when I'm in a movie, just to be in a movie. But this time I was happy to be in a movie. And my wife said to me, you're happy. And I was happy because I left a house with 7 women in California and didn't have to hear anything because it was lonely, but I got to sit and think about life during quarantine. I got to see everything. I got to breathe clean air in Toronto, no smog. So I'm clear, I would say.
That's what's up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, in the news recently, your friend Larsa Pippen, age 46, and Malik Beasley, age 24, are a legit couple these days. In fact, there's a new Christmas photo that I saw.
Really?
Of the two of them. Yeah, I can't show it because of copyright issues. But yeah, they're snuggled up next to a Christmas tree.
I say this. You can't choose who you love. You really can't. You can choose who you're with. Can't choose who you love. You can, when the connection is the connection, it doesn't make a difference at the age. Look, Pablo Picasso. I just have to mention the name because people are now going to go look it up.
Yeah, he was like 100 years older than his wife. Yeah, I remember.
Right. So you have things happen. Things happen, and no matter how it looks to everything else, the way I look at it with Larsa is she's living her life.
Hey, listen, more power to her.
Yeah.
If the two of them are happy enough for...
She also knows how to tell him what mistakes not to make in his career. So imagine if it was like Bull Durham, remember? Imagine if she is maybe helping this young cat through a really tough time. 26 I just won my 2nd championship and the world was moving so fast. Anybody that seemed like they liked me, I gravitated toward because my world started getting so small. So you eat what's in the fishbowl. So the fact that she may be
she's in the fishbowl, all right.
It's fishbowl. It's a fishbowl.
she's a fish bowler.
It's a fish.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, she's in the mix. Oh yeah.
She's beautiful, man, and more power to her. I just say everybody. I'm sorry his baby mama had to see it the way she saw it. But
well, from what I understand, they're already like separated.
Yeah.
That's the story I heard. But I guess she didn't really know, because she put out the statement saying things have been pretty rough. I'm not going to lie. We were told to leave our family home 10 days ago. And it's just like, I'm pretty confused. There's been no private or public addressing of the situation. That's his new baby mother. Oh, well, his wife, I guess, his soon-to-be ex-wife saying that. So, hey, listen, I don't know. If you're separated, though. You don't really need to explain to the other person what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what separation is.
Now,
kicking them out of his house, I don't even know if that's even legal. I don't think you can do that.
You know?
When you're married, you can't just kick the person out of your house.
You can't?
I don't think so.
I know this. If you have a prenuptial is only 8 years long.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people that. So if he's only been with her for 1 year, then that counts that way. The child is, as I remember, going through something similar, not with kicking someone out, but your child is, I think, entitled to 18% of your net worth. And if you get a good enough lawyer, and what if he says he's selling the house? Then they have to leave.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, if he's selling the house.
If he's selling the house and she's going to get proceeds from that, they have to leave. So I'm just happy that I saw the picture, that they are happy.
Seems like it.
And it might be the focus he needs. I tell everybody, go watch the movie Bull Durham. It is such a great movie when it comes to athletics. Older women usually keep you focused. That was my thing. Yo, man, I had this older woman. I was about to go pro. I'm 22. She says she's 32. She got a 9-year-old kid from Dallas. And did I tell the story? Oh, well, anyway. So
let's tell it.
Cliff Livingston. I won't say her name, but Cliff Livingston kind of hooks it up. I'm at this pool party. I think I'm all extra cool. And she gets in the water. Beautiful brown skinned sister. Oh my God, a future behind her. Big eyes. And she said, man, you swim so well. And I'm swimming at a pool party. Now, all Black people are laughing because we know we don't swim at pool parties. Not unless it's a video. So I'm over there and she goes, man, I guess the guy I came with got mad I was talking to you and he left me. And you know me, I'm like, I'll give you a ride home. You know, we stay. Well, I got to call him, he's not answering. I said, well, I don't live that far. First mistake. So I take a chick I don't know to my house. Don't know if I'm followed.
Woo. Yep.
Get up and I'm trying to be all cool. Got my American Express, my cash, all my jewelry out on the table. I'm in the shower trying to get the chlorine off. She's like, you want a massage? I was like, oh yeah. So I get the Nivea oil. That band had Nivea oil, not lotion. And she's rubbing everything and doing everything all. I'm like Statue of Liberty, eyes closed, all the back of my head. And then she goes, hey, so never bring a girl to your crib. You don't know me. You left all your stuff out. You trusted me like you know me. Don't sit around like pay attention to who you're talking to, where, situation, like you were just blinded to everything. And she was like 14 years older than me. And she was teaching me game. I was sitting there and I was like mad at Cliff at first, but I wasn't. And she wound up, believe it or not, the summer before going into the pros, coaching me about what was coming. And so I leave and go to, well, anyway, my moms and dad come in, and now this is my girlfriend. And my mom's just steaming. She ain't saying nothing.
Too old, huh?
She's looking at this lady. She all being nice and flirty, talking to my brothers and my uncle and my cousins and my dad. And my mom's just blast out. What are you doing with my 22-year-old son and your old butt? Well, your 34-year-old butt and my 22-year-old son. Everybody gets silent. And she goes, Mrs. Salley, it's what your 22-year-old son does to this 34-year-old body is why I'm here. And my father starts dying. Stay out that man's business. She told you. Oh, man. I was like, I love awkward comedy. That's my favorite. That's why I love The Office. Anything Steve Carell does, anything Will Ferrell does, I love awkward comedy. So I'm stuck. But anyway, she starts getting crazy. Girls start coming over to my condo. She's like Tisha Campbell on Boomerang. He gonna be over here when you drop you off. You know, she's doing all that stuff. I go to Detroit and I meet this young broad, and she's driving me, showing me things in Detroit, but I'm living in a hotel. I got my apartment, but I'm putting it together. And I pull up to the hotel, and she's sitting in the lobby talking to Dennis Rodman and Tony Campbell. And I look at them, I look at her, and I walk right by them. I don't stop, I don't say anything. She's calling my name, I look at her like, I don't know, I get in the elevator. She calls up to the room, she's like, what's up? I said, you taught me nobody should do drop-ins. You taught me no one should surprise you. No one should show up on the road and see you. You taught me that. She's like, yeah, but I'm in town. I was like, yeah, glad you made it. And literally hung the phone up. So that night, she has to stay with Dennis Rodman.
Okay. Has to stay.
Has to stay, because she ain't got nowhere to stay. So Dennis is trying to be nice, and she's letting him know, yo, it ain't getting down like that. I'm gonna stay in your room, boom, boom, I got whatever. And she told me everything he thought about me, everything Tony Campbell thought about me. She was like, okay, once again, you was right about not letting me in the room. That was foul, but I understand, because I did teach you that. The next, she said, drive that broad, drop her off, and I'll meet you in the lobby. So I drive her, I drop her off, I come back, and I'm hanging with her. She's helping me put my apartment together. And she said, remember, you are an individual company in a team sport. And she said, everybody to your right and your left wants your job and your money. So in 1986, I learned that about my teammates, that no matter what, they want what you have. It's the fishbowl. They want to eat what you're eating, what you get in. So I learned from her. I would say her name, but I said her name before and kind of got in trouble for it. But she taught me, she was at one time married to an NFL player. So she put me up on a lot of game. So I love older women. When you get older, they say you like younger women. I don't know.
Well, hopefully she can help him out of various problems, because he just pleaded guilty to a threats of violence charge, which is a felony. 120 days of workhouse, and there was a plea agreement where they dropped the fifth degree drug possession charge. Do you know the whole story of what happened?
So let me ask you, is he still in the NBA?
Yes.
So is he still playing?
I believe so, yes.
God bless the NBA.
Okay.
Because this is going to be a probation. This is God willing, because jail time is no joke.
Well, he's not doing jail time.
Right.
Well, I don't know. 120 days in a workhouse, I guess that is jail time, right? That's basically a halfway house, something like that.
A halfway house, and it also can be public service. It can be that. It can be in his public service. Remember, they put Naomi Campbell in a situation, right? For throwing a phone at somebody. So once you get into that system, they have to put you through Plexico. Had a gun in New Jersey. It's 3 years jail time, no matter what. So he had to do his jail time. So I'm just knowing that the NBA, if he's still playing, that means there's more being worked out.
So according to reports, him and his family were at their rented home. Another family with a 13-year-old child was house hunting and decided to pull up and poke around the house. He came out with a rifle and pointed at them and said, get off my property. I don't necessarily see a problem with this.
What state?
Minnesota.
Yeah, you check the gun laws in that state, right? So
Minnesota. And, the couple, the family called the police. The police came over, searched the house. They found a 12-gauge shotgun, a handgun, an automatic rifle. And then, this is right up your alley, they found some leafy marijuana at the house. Now, possession of marijuana in its original leafy form is illegal in Minnesota. So his wife was charged with fifth-degree drug possession, which I guess they ended up dropping at one point. But he has a felony on his record. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal in America.
Maybe he should get to know Trump. He might get that dropped.
Oh yeah, there you go. He's got about a month left before.
He got about a month. He call the president and say, "Hey, man."
And let me just say this, since you said that, there was a clip that we put out of yours where it was titled around Trump is 100% going to win. That was taken out of context.
Yeah,
there was a longer conversation about that, which was not really expressed in that title.
Right.
So our bad on whatever problems that caused for you.
There you go, Vlad, being human again.
Yeah.
There you go, being human, trying to get views. Listen.
Our bad on that and any type of problems. I understand you and I had a conversation about
we had but this is another thing. I don't really get upset about anything because I believe what I say. And a lot of folks don't. And the reason I said that Donald Trump was going to be president again is because of the state of America. And it proved 74 million people think like he does.
Oh, yeah. Remember the night of the election?
Yeah.
In my household, we really thought when we went to sleep that Trump had won. That's how it looked like.
Yeah.
All the states were pretty much red. Georgia was red, Arizona was red, Pennsylvania was red. It looked like he had gotten the Electoral College. And we woke up and things started to change.
This is another thing about this country. It proved to me I know nothing about politics.
Right.
I thought being, in my 50s, I would know. I know absolutely nothing. Neither does anyone else. Senators and congressmen really don't know politics. And when I got down to it and thinking of it, Julius Caesar is my thought. The senators run this country. The senators run this country. And that's why it's so important that you have the senator that you vote, your state senator, you have to have the senators in position to do something in this country. I learned a lot in 2020. A lot. I know a lot of people have, but I learned a lot. I learned what systematic racism is. I learned where my bad thought process or POV of things come from. And it comes from those in position. Media has made me think that when they say it, it's true. And I had to learn all of it is narrative. All of it is, I said it before, I watch Anderson Cooper, not anymore, not like I used to. And I realized that's his commentary. That's his thought. When I watch Don Lemon, that's his thought. And the way they say it seems like they're speaking in common sense, but it is on that direction.
It's all entertainment.
Yeah.
It's all really entertainment. It's based in facts. It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But there's always a wiggle room to spin it how you want to spin it.
Look what they did to Ice Cube.
Right.
They went after Ice Cube because Ice Cube said, "What are you giving us?" And black people, blah, blah, blah. He said, "What are you giving us? Let's stop." And when I literally sat still and listened to Ice Cube and was like, I'm in 100% agreement with this dude. 50 Cent, 100% agreement. Not because of the money. It's literally they were thinking, like, what is the real deal? It's all based on money. It's always been based on money.
Yeah.
Right? Chris Rock said it best. He said, do you think race relation is better now? He said, I think white folks are less crazy. Best thing ever. He goes, like, at one time, my grandfather couldn't eat in the same restaurant or drink the water. Some white folks said, hey, that's crazy. And then they changed the law. We didn't change it. They changed it. Just less crazy. I agree, man. Chris Rock put it best.
Well, speaking of Larsa Pippen, your friend Scottie Pippen allegedly confronted Michael Jordan over his portrayal in The Last Dance.
I doubt it.
Do you think that's bullshit?
I don't think he confronted him. Hey, man, God rest his soul. At Kobe's funeral, man, Scottie was sitting over here, Michael was sitting over there. And, there was a VIP, there was a section, and then there was a VVIP. And I wasn't in the VVIP. Oh, cool. I'm all right with that. But Michael and the Bryant family went, and Beyonce and everybody else on that side went toward the locker room, and everybody else went toward the other room. So if he would have confronted him, what was false about it?
Well, the Last Dance happened after Kobe's passing, right?
Last Dance came on after Kobe's dance, right, in February, right? But Kobe's funeral, they were both there.
Because the Last Dance went on for weeks, remember?
Yeah, but it came out. I don't want to say
you might be right.
The perfect time for a documentary to come out with everybody sitting still. I learned this about Michael. No one knows the pressure. No one knows the pressure Michael Jordan is under. Because we watch him on court and you go, but you don't know the pressure he's under. The media, trying to be a family man, saving the NBA from destruction, making it a worldwide business. It was already on. They got to see it, but Michael made it what it is. So, when you're the Messiah, no one knows the pressure of the Messiah. The Messiah is there to save. And people talk about how intense. Think about how intense. Of course he's going to be that intense on court and practice. And because it's the only place he can release that energy. He didn't know about yoga, deep breathing, martial arts. Like he didn't find all those other things. So whatever was bothering him was coming out in practice. So I had no idea that us as the Pistons, if we knew that we were on Michael's mind that much, they would have never won a championship.
You would have just gone harder.
91 would have happened. We would have done it just to continue. If we knew we had that much control, Isaiah said it best, like no telling if we knew.
Well, speaking of Kobe, well, first of all, I think it's very dope that the LA Lakers championship ring has a Kobe tribute.
That's dope.
Into the ring. You know about this?
Yeah, I saw LeBron's ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
very,
a beautiful,
very dope, man.
Beautiful ring.
Very dope. But unfortunately, in the land of Kobe, the mother of Kobe's widow is suing the estate.
Did I just say everything's about money?
Everything.
Apparently,
she wants to be paid like $90 an hour for
being a grandmother.
12-hour shifts for the last, 12, 15 years.
I heard she got put out of the house. There's a lot of put out the house this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, this is not your family.
But it is her family.
I mean, but it's not your kids. It's not your estate. This is not your husband. You are the grandmother.
I was told when I become a grandparent that I'm going to love my kids and go, grandkids and go, boy, I wish I could have just got the grandkids. So the fact that it made it public, I know Vanessa didn't need that or want that.
Yeah, it's a public lawsuit. It's actually filed in court at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vanessa called it an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Which it is.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
There's no way out of this. Because the judge is not going to say, you have to give your mother money. It's not, the judge
They're going to throw it out.
Right.
Or they're going to settle.
And those kids will still have to deal with that's their grandmother.
Or they'll just never see their grandmother. And that's that. The end. Until they turn 18 and can make their own decisions.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. Well, I never saw my grandparents. They passed before that. So
yeah.
That's sad though. I just don't. I think Vanessa and her children have gone through enough. So
do you know Vanessa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you talked to her after?
Mm-mm.
Okay. But before?
No, like you gotta understand, it was 20 years ago when I first was seeing that even bubble into what it was turning into. Her driving to pick him up, me knowing that he had this girl. I think I tell people, man, my relationship with Cole was so special to me, and I always knew it was special. Uh, the fact that he was like, "Yeah, I'm in the studio. Come to the studio." I know how that is. I know how, when you're outside of the go and listen to him perform and watch and get to do all the things you want to do outside of also playing basketball was special to me, and I realized it. So, him coming on Best Damn. I remember he came on Best Damn Sports Show, and they let me do like a one-on-one interview with him. And Chris Rose, the host, who is now the host on NFL and Major League Baseball, literally after said, "You have totally changed my mind about Kobe Bryant." Like because he never would have thought to see him like that. Like that's the deal about being a gladiator. Most people want you just to perform and go back to the cage. And when they see you are human and do human things that are fun, they have to change their attitude because they only get to see you for 2 hours a night, a week.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people judge you accordingly.
Well, speaking of lawsuits, Rondo and his girlfriend are being sued for $1 million by a parking lot attendant. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
I mean, number one, I watched the video. Rondo didn't have shit to do with that. He was trying to break him up.
But that's what happens when you have money. When you have money, if you get close to touching somebody, they're going to flop like Vladi Diva.
Right, because she's suing for $1 million. She has mental distress and serious damage. Now, Rondo's girlfriend put the paws on her. I saw that. She put them paws on her. Bam, 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 bam. Hit her with like a 4 or 5 piece.
What state was that? You remember?
Oh, man. I'm thinking LA, right?
Yeah. Do you think that was the reason they didn't re-sign him?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
You think so?
I don't know, man. The Lakers had to drop a lot of people to sign a lot of people.
Right. And let me just say this. I don't know the whole story, but men have to be very careful about picking the women that they associate with.
Women are women.
Women are women, but me and the women throughout my life, we've gotten into heated, arguments with other couples sometimes and shit happens. I've never had a woman that I'm with suddenly just start punching someone else. And I'm broke as shit compared to Rondo. Let me tell you, like I'm broke compared, and I think about the financial liabilities of things like this happening. You can't have a girl with you that's ready to start punching people. Right?
I disagree.
You disagree?
I so disagree.
You want a girl that'll...
I so want a girl next to me that was scrap. It's ridiculous. I don't know.
You clearly have not had enough lawsuits.
Man.
The legal system has not done enough to John Salley yet.
I had to talk
appreciate that statement.
I had to talk a lot of people about turning their car around and putting that knife down. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, Vlad. It might be just a turn on, but it is. I think it's the same turn on that women have when men feud over them. It's something. It's something. It means something. But also her frustrations, I don't believe you should put your hands on anybody. One of the first things I tell my daughter Giovanna, because she's a fighter, and I tell her when she's dating somebody, I was like, don't put your hands on them. Like, don't put your hands on them. Because it's a difference if they're defending themselves. So I always say, don't put your hands on them. But man, women that do that, women scrap, man. It's called cat fighting for a reason.
Did you hear, we just interviewed Tyson.
Oh yeah,
right?
I saw that. Jab did a good job.
Yeah, Zab Judah did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
He did his thing on it. But in a certain part of the interview, we talked about the Boosie situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, that was really driven by Tyson's daughter.
Really?
So here's the story, right? And Tyson, we're going to play the clip where he kind of describes what happens. So, Tyson, talking to his various kids one day, was talking to his daughter, who said, who do you got coming up? He's like, I got Boosie. Oh, okay. I want to come out and see you. Tyson thinking she's flying out from New York to hang out with her dad and, her stepmom. Mm-mm. His daughter, who he described as violent and I guess is also gay, or was in that life at some point or whatever else, was basically wanted to physically confront Boosie over his trans comments. The comments he made about Zaya Wade and so forth like that. And Tyson's talking about how he's actually a little nervous about this whole thing because it's like, my daughter's violent. And she's also a fairly, she's not a frail little girl.
She can defend herself.
She's
Mike Tyson's daughter.
She's Mike Tyson's daughter.
All right, that's it. Right
there you go.
Yeah.
She's Mike Tyson's daughter. And what had happened was, once Mike started going with all these questions about gays and trans and asking Boosie if he's gay and so forth, after the interview, which Boosie concurred as well, the daughter is like, I want to ask you a few questions in this interview too. Boosie's like, okay. And she was like, do you know how many trans people commit suicide and are suffer abuse? And he's like, do you know how many black men have been killed by police and how many single mothers there are? They just kind of kept going back and forth like this until she finally just walked out.
I tell you this, that Boosie interview with Mike Tyson was so thick.
Oh yeah.
It was like, I was like, is Mike about to say something? Because the way he was looking at him, and I got it finally, because I had to keep looking at him. He was saying that a lot of people act out things because they themselves are a certain way. And I guess he was trying to let people, be yourself. And that's a lot of your frustration is. And he said, I wasn't allowed to be myself. And I didn't know where the interview was going. And Boosie just sat there with the stare like, all right, okay. And I'm sitting around. And Boosie's one of my favorite people. One of the things I love about your show is watching Boosie. Because you can tell he is literally authentic. Mm-hmm. He is authentic. And that is hard to find in any kind of media. So when you find somebody that's authentic, that's literally, you can see, had life experiences and is not afraid to say his opinion. On this show, I said, I thought the mistake with Will Smith was he shouldn't have been on television. He shouldn't have let people know, right? And then I was talking to Dwayne Martin, and Dwayne was like, Sal, things are different now. The public is kind of demanding that they hear it from you in your tone, not flipped, not spun, not polished, not polarized. They want to hear it in your tone. So maybe Will should have gone on the red table. But when you see Boosie on, Boosie is talking to you as a man that's been in the system, that's been successful getting out of the system, has children, and has an opinion. Mm-hmm. But we give this opinion when you get to a certain celebrity status. You got to also remember they want you to be authentic, but they want you polished. They want both things,
right? Which
is almost, it's an oxymoron.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So just being careful. Like when I'm on this show, I'm free, like I said, because I believe what I say. And I say it from experience and from logic.
Well, Zab Judah did most of the interview.
Yeah.
But then at the end, I asked if it was cool if I jumped in and asked a few questions.
Right.
And one of the questions didn't quite go over too well with Mike. This video actually just dropped today, so you're going to get to see it for the first time. Zip was kind of the go-between between like Puffy and all the Southside Crips.
Maybe.
What is it? Here you are, this multimillionaire, and it seems like you've always been attracted to the guys that are still in the streets to a certain degree. Do you think that's a fair statement?
You think I'm attracted to them?
Well, not attracted to them, but I mean, you like having them around. You're friends with them, and you
You
maintain.
think I like
this.
having them around?
I'm just asking.
You think I'm friends? What do you think? You think I like having them around?
I don't know. You just spoke nicely about Zip, so I just thought.
Yeah. You know who these guys are? When you talk, what do you say about me? I'm this big, whatever I am, right? But know who those guys are? Those are the guys that when I'm whoever I am is a nobody. Those are the guys that live in the same building with me. that gives my mother salt or sugar if they need a milk. They're the same guys.
Yeah.
They're the same guys you rob streets with and you went to juvenile detention with. And then you went to boxing, you got locked up, went to boxing. They got locked up, got up and went to the drug business. And then you see them and they know this guy, and then you remember this guy from this time, and you went to school with this guy, and you know this guy, and this guy mother, and your guy mother went to school together, and this is the whole family, and then everything do.
There was a moment.
There was a moment.
There was a moment there when I wasn't quite sure which way it was going to go. I still had to stand my ground. I still had to be like, well, I asked the question. I'm going to continue with this question.
Right. So,
but Mike, I think Mike got upset with that whole attracted comment. That was not the right word in retrospect. As I watched it over,
Mhm.
But listen.
Association. You
Yeah.
should have said.
Association. Listen, I'm not going to, as many interviews as I've done, I've never done someone on the caliber of a Mike Tyson. So I was somewhat nervous myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna deny that part. It's Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet. But you still have to be VladTV, and you still have to give the fans what they want, and so forth. So it seems like at one point he kind of just got over it. Said, okay,
yeah.
I see what you mean, and let me actually explain all that.
Right. But Mike Tyson is still going to Mike Tyson you, which is a trip because people didn't realize, how, you saw it in the Hangover. He can go from being whatever, punch you in the face, to laughing and giggling with you.
Right.
Because he knows he can use that part. I've been with Mike since, 18, 19. He's one of the greatest people and one of the most giving people. I went to see him in prison. I got that picture. I'm gonna send it to you.
You went to go see him when he was locked up.
Yeah, we went in play Indiana, and after practice, I took a car out to see him.
They locked him up way out in Indiana where it was hard for people to visit him. Yeah.
I went to see him, and then I got back, went to the game, and I watch him literally try to explain to people what's going on in his life. And now, like I said, in our 50s, it always comes back around. But this time coming back around, his 300 million will be his 300 million.
We talked about him losing 300 million.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't like the word had. He's like, that's one of the worst words in the dictionary. But I can tell you, because I've had to sit back and watch the interview over and over again as we're preparing it, and putting it out. I haven't met too many human beings that own their whole life in the way that Tyson has owned it.
Yeah.
Admits to everything, good and bad, the triumphs and the failures, the drug addiction and the fights and the ripping people off and all the bad stuff. He actually said that at one point, because we talked about when he was doing his press conference and he would tell people to go fuck themselves and said, "I'll fuck you and make you love me," and all this crazy shit. He's like, "Yeah, man, listen." He's like, I was having problems dealing with it. He described it in a way that I think that maybe you would understand as a professional athlete. He said, because for me it was a little weird. He said, it's almost like a young girl having her first period. Everything just starts to change, and you're just not cool with anything anymore, and everything is just weird.
That's a perfect way of putting it. Like, I give you an example. I have this artist, and I said, hey, next year, none of this that you're going through is going to happen. None of, I'm going to call this person to get me in the club, or we were dressed here, or, that outfit is from Macy's. That is not happening ever again. All of that is going away, and you are going to totally, think about this, Vlad. I'm dating, I'm in college. I have no money. Georgia Tech is not one of those pay-you schools. I'm doing barnstorming. That's when a whole bunch of guys do like an all-star game. I'm getting paid $1,200, $1,100. My rent is $600. My car note is $300. And you're trying to dress well or whatever. So you go pro, and now your checks are $12,000 a month. This is, in the 80s. And $12,000. I didn't make $12,000 in 4 years. That's per check. Then you get your sneaker check, which they pay you. What my first sneaker deal was $60,000. 20% of that went to my agent. Such a ripoff. The rest of that, 15% went to the state. I'm wearing sneakers for less than $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
But you got $30,000. My pops was making $32,000 a year.
Yeah.
So imagine, like I said, it's all money. It comes to a point where you grab it, you go, okay, I got to save this, but it's money. It's supposed to be spent. And you try to match the vets. When the vets are pulling up in a cashmere coat, Vinnie Johnson had a Patek Philippe on, and I was like, man, that's a pretty gold watch. He's like, yeah, man, $7,500. $7,500 for a watch?
I wish I could buy a Patek for $7,500.
$7,500? That watch now from 1986 has to be worth $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah, that's probably, I guess about 50,000, but yeah, maybe 60, 70, yeah.
You wouldn't know as a young cat that you should buy jewelry that appreciates.
Right, like Patek, like Rolex.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that.
Audemars, yeah.
You see them with it, you just see gold watch. No, instead I went and got a herringbone chain. Well, I got a Mr. T starter kit on, and I'm like this. My dumb ass.
Well, it's funny that, you mentioned that you visited Mike Tyson in prison.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned that the way he became friends with Tupac was Pac used to visit him in prison.
Yeah.
And that's how they became close.
Wow. He said he felt he got Tupac killed.
He said he's guilty. He still feels guilty because leading up to the Bruce Seldon fight, he kept calling Pac because Pac did a song that he was walking in with.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, I want that song. I want that song. He pressured Pac to come to Vegas. And then Pac gets killed. So he feels a certain level of guilt.
Yeah.
It was really a bad day when that happened. I just knew it was really bad. And I felt a little guilty about him coming to the fight, me pressuring him for, hey, yo, bring the tape. Don't forget the tape, And I was going to go out with him that night. I promised to go to 662 with him that night. But I had just had a little baby, and her mother was provoking me to stay home, so I stayed with the baby, and then someone called me that night and told me that happened. And I'm just...
And it's interesting because yesterday I interviewed Crunchy Black,
Mm.
and I mentioned the same thing. He goes, Crunchy Black's daughter just got killed.
Sorry.
And he said that night she called him at like 4 or 5 a.m. and he usually picks up his kids' phone calls no matter what. But I guess he was asleep and whatever. And he still feels to this day, man, if I had answered that call, maybe that could have diverted how she would have moved. But he said, man, look, listen, you're always going to feel that. And it's not your fault.
No. Great movie, Benjamin Button.
Mm-hmm.
And Benjamin Button, like he said, if that person makes the cab, if that person doesn't forget something, and it always goes back. Hindsight is 20/20.
Mm-hmm.
If this didn't happen, that didn't happen. But then you have to deal with the fate. Some people don't believe in it, right? They don't believe in that, this fate stuff and what's already written in the book. But everything happens as it's supposed to, and everything is as it is. Like, it's not what it's not. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna say, what the hell did he just say? What I meant by that is, when things are happening, it's really happening.
It's really happening.
Whether you like it or not, it's happening.
And you got to deal with it.
Or not. But
or
it's better to deal with it.
It's still happening.
It's still going to happen.
Whether you deal with it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with James Harden these days?
You leave the bearded one alone. I love James Harden. It's so crazy. Because I'm a LeBron fan through and through. And I think he's being railroaded by the NBA. Let's just get this out of LeBron. LeBron should have been the MVP the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last year. I think Giannis is unbelievable, and I understand what they're saying. The most valuable player to the NBA. That's the important thing people need to get. I wanted to get on with Shannon and say that to the NBA, Giannis is more important than LeBron because they feel they have already surfed this wave. But LeBron investing into himself is important. And that's when he got up there and said, I want my damn respect. He's right. He deserved. I thought the MVP of the league should be at the end. It shouldn't happen during the finals. Every award should happen at the end. But because LeBron is so direct and so knowing how to answer and so not feeling certain other people, and Giannis just sits around and just happy to be there and just, this is a blessing. And, for the NBA, it's important to have him as the next face, as an international face.
Well, Giannis signed a $228 million Supermax contract.
Sounds
largest deal in NBA history.
Sounds like a lot.
What was the most you ever got? Per year?
Million. Oh,
12?
a year?
Yeah.
Three.
You were a 4-time champion.
Right.
Do you look at your $3 million and look at this 228 and say, I was just born in the wrong time?
Charles Barkley said it best. He said, I hope all y'all getting these big deals don't think you're getting all this money because you good. No, you're getting your money because of who came before you.
Right.
Right? You may be good, but those numbers, it's a great number. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And then I sat down and did something that most people don't do, researched. And I remember A-Rod got $250 million 20 years ago.
It's baseball.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we sit around and talk about, man, it's a lot of money. And then Schumacher, the driver, Michael Schumacher, the great Michael Schumacher, whose deal was just broken by Lewis Hamilton, was at $85 million a year for 7 years.
Right, because 228 is divided by how many years?
5.
5 years. So you're looking at about 46?
Yeah, Shaq made $36 million a year.
So it's not that far off.
Not that far off. More years. He got
Yeah.
less years, more money. It looks great. They throw you. Now look what they did. That's why he's the most valuable player to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell LeBron, you're the most valuable player in the NBA. Giannis is the most valuable player to the NBA. Difference.
Back to James Harden.
James Harden.
Number one, is he going to stay in Houston?
Is James Harden going to stay in Houston? I say yes. The reason I say yes, he's going to stay in Houston, because Houston is the most influential team in China. Because of Yao Ming. They literally, when they went over to play, it didn't say Houston. It said Houston in Chinese characters. He is the most identifiable player in anything. When you show James Harden, they say James Harden, Houston Rockets.
In China.
In China. So does he want to leave? I think now he's realizing, when I'm looking at all these pictures, that he's now Clyde Frazier. It's his look. It's his demeanor. He's the beard. Now he's having to Dennis Rodman situation, always being in the spotlight. Did they set up the team around him to win? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because they seem to get close every time, but never to the end.
Never his fault.
Yeah.
Never his fault.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Westbrook was over there. According to staffers, he was appalled by the Rockets culture.
Really?
That's what they said.
Wow. The culture.
Yeah.
The non-winning culture. Let me tell you.
Are you winning or are you not winning? Culture's culture.
So I'm going to go with Westbrook.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more when if you say to me, pick a team, and I see him, I'm grabbing him. He doesn't want to do anything but win.
Yeah.
That's why I love Durant. I love Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is like, all this stuff y'all doing is for you. It has nothing to do with me winning. So I like those guys who only think that way, which gave more room. That's Isaiah Bill Lambert, Joe Dumas. They don't want to do anything but win. I loved it. Good. So now I'm the same mentality, but I also know how to turn it off and be in front of the camera. And then when it's time to be in front of the camera performing, if you look, I didn't care. I put a mouthpiece in. I had ugly goggles on. I had pads on everything. My hair was cut, but I was ready for war. And then after, I try to dial it up with some clothes and some high tops, and make sure it was well moisturized. Hated a dry high top.
Well, he was apparently caught at a strip club with no mask on. He was suspended for one game, but I guess 3 other players tested positive as well, so the whole thing was postponed. I guess they're not doing the bubble this year, so you're seeing a lot of this chaos that's going to be happening with COVID. Why didn't they do the bubble again?
Because you can't play in isolation. Remember I mentioned the gladiators? I mentioned it because it is exactly what it is, right? The Romans threw up the Colosseum to entertain the people while they were pillaging the world. So, sports is always put in there and people can literally yell, scream, throw things and live their life out through the athletes, vicariously through the athletes. But when you're in that bubble, it's really, you got to have your restaurant. Vlad, I got a routine, man. I had to get up a certain time, get my pretzels, drink my water, my bag was packed. I knew what time the lights were changing. I would drive down Woodward and turn on this, and then I'd look and know what time that was. And then I was like, I'm right on time. I knew what time I was going to get in the arena. Those things are important to go into battle. Just going back to your hotel room and watching Judge Judy.
Well, you're also being compensated extremely well for watching Judge Judy.
But you're being
well.
Right. But you're supposed to be compensated well because the people are paying so well.
Right.
So it took us a long time to fight that players should revenue share in the show.
I get it. But the alternative is that the game is going to get suspended and canceled and everything else like that. So
you know what I heard yesterday on the radio?
What's that?
Just for those, when you're in the car, I do listen to music, but most of the time I listen to news radio that repeats itself every half an hour.
Right.
In Korea, South Korea, 10 people got COVID. And they all lived in the same apartment building, and they realized they were getting it because the vents in the bathrooms are connected.
I heard about this, yeah.
So if there's no way of getting away from COVID, it don't make a difference if you at a strip joint wearing a mask, a shield, or isolated. So it's the worst flu you can possibly get. It's a coronavirus, and there was no way of stopping the flu in 1918. There's no way, they did a great job on SARS, but this coronavirus is worldwide, just like the Spanish flu. You can't stop it.
Well, the Surgeon General wants LeBron to take the vaccine to send a message out.
To who?
He's probably meaning, he's in general probably saying basketball fans as a whole, but I'm sure he really
Don't you think it would be more impressive to show Joe Biden taking it?
He's already taken it.
Right, showing him taking it?
Yeah, they show him taking it.
Right. But remember, I know the people at Fox didn't say that because they told LeBron to shut up and dribble. So
let me tell you.
So now they want the shut up and dribble to take it for the black community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
LeBron,
that's
don't
what
take
I was
it.
about to say.
I'm not interested in vaccines.
Okay. Well, let me tell you. I had a conversation with a guy who works in Virginia and has a company with 107 employees that work with hospitals and so forth. So they were all offered the vaccine first. Out of 107 people, guess how many people actually took it?
2.
12. 90%. Mostly, he said, his employees are usually middle-aged Black men. No one wants to take the vaccine in that community. Someone broke it down to me pretty well, though, the other day. Because obviously there's Tuskegee, right?
Tuskegee experiment.
The Tuskegee experiment, which happened from 1930 to 1972.
Yeah.
A group of very poor black men were offered treatment for syphilis, and it was funded by Tuskegee University, a historically black college, which made it even worse, with black nurses and everything else like that. For 40 years, they weren't injected with anything, but they were basically allowed to suffer and die from syphilis. 128 men ended up dying in the process when they had a cure, just to see what would happen when you don't give someone syphilis medication.
Yeah. So that's one experiment. The other experiments are, what do they tell you? They constantly, the crack experiment. They put the crack experiment inside that too, right? They constantly are using the black community, one that they want to decimate and destroy, that has been decimated, just not destroyed. And if somebody goes, it's the same thing. No, it's been mashed around and pushed around and separated, but it's still at a point. It's constantly using black folks to do it. And that's true. We've known this. We know that we're in this situation. There's talks about body parts, and there's talks about organs, and this is something, as they said in Canada, and we won't be allowed to say this on your air, just letting you know, but we're going to say it anyway. When we talk about COVID, they give you a response. Like, if you're not with the narrative on Instagram, if you're not with the narrative that they want to hear, then you can't say it.
Well, listen, I understand when you look at Tuskegee, and you also look at generally how America does not value black lives like they do with others.
No.
This is why you have Black Lives Matter, a statement that shouldn't even be there because you would assume that Black Lives Matter, but the fact that you have to say it is saying something.
Means it doesn't matter.
Means that America does not.
I bought a
value.
pair of Nikes that have black BLM on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to wear them, but I bought them because I knew they're going to be collector's items.
Yeah.
Let me just explain that point. We haven't heard anything about Black Lives Matter in, I don't know, 3 months? 90 days?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I said it then. It doesn't matter. It was all a ploy. To the people in positions, it doesn't matter. Well,
I understand the whole thing of the black community doesn't want to be guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be tested on. The visual, the optics of a black nurse in Queens being the first one to take the virus was not the best.
Right.
I think what America needs to do is show that white people are taking it first.
Right.
And being experimented on.
Well, they did, and she fainted.
Well, one person fainted.
That's all you need.
Okay.
That's another thing. Like, that's so funny.
But in the words of The Hangover, but did she die? Because with COVID, you could die.
Right. But
okay.
Think about the measles. When they were giving away the measles vaccine, this is documented, the measles vaccine, they gave it to a nurse who had been working. Next thing you know, she lost literally use of her limbs, and she's still suing
people became, well, you're talking about the polio vaccine. Certain people became paralyzed.
And measles.
There was much worse technology back then. There was not testing on the same caliber of 2020.
And they also didn't give you a cocktail full of a lot. Back when I got vaccinated, because I still have the bruise on my arm, it was over a period of time.
Yeah.
And they're doing that different too.
Well, at this point, on December 24th, 2020, it was just announced that 1 million Americans have been vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. And I think Moderna as well, because they just got...
You saw I posted, we got the vaccine before Flint got clean water.
This is very true. And during this conversation with someone about the whole thing, I had forgotten about that Obama Flint drinking water press conference. Remember that?
When he drank the water, he grabbed the water and he drank it out of the glass?
Yeah, he took the most smallest sip humanly possible. He said, see, look, I drank it, it's fine. And in 2020, Flint still has fucked up water.
Right.
Something that's fixable with science. It just costs a lot of money.
I thought that was a bad move on Obama's part.
Yeah.
My daughter didn't like when I would point out things that I thought were.
Yeah. I don't think it was a good move either, because like I said, he took the smallest sippy sips that you could possibly take. And I think this is, I understand why so many people are against it. We just interviewed one of our regular guests on the show, Dr. Khan, who's a medical doctor in Las Vegas. He just got the vaccine last week. We had included the video of him taking the vaccine.
Okay, pull your sleeve up. You gotta have your sleeve up. There you go. Okay, just relax. There you go. Relax. He's not gonna even feel it.
You say I'm gonna turn into a lizard.
Yep. And if you do, you make a lot of money. Just think of it that way, okay?
A rich lizard.
Here you go. Poke.
Giannis, a couple of things.
All done. You're a bleeder. He's a bleeder. You're not on blood thinners, right?
No.
It's just a little bit. It's all done already.
The next shot is in 3 weeks. They already
3
got me
weeks?
scheduled.
They're gonna get you scheduled.
January
Now you
5th.
gotta wait.
He has had 32 people die under his watch, some of which were relatively young and healthy with no pre-existing conditions. He was not required to take the vaccine, but he took it.
And
What's that?
and
And he has to take another one, 3 weeks later. And he should be 95% protected against COVID. And the 5% that did catch COVID, they're on the vaccine, didn't end up in ICU, which is the important part as well. They just had mild cases.
you know,
Me
New
personally-
Zealand doesn't have COVID.
Yeah, they've managed to actually quarantine well and get rid of it.
That's the thought process. Or the fact that they got clean air and clean water, and they are health conscious, and they speak about being healthy as opposed to taking a vaccine. The conversation is make yourself as healthy as possible, because this COVID virus, I do vintage shopping. I like some old things. A lot of old things I like are magazines and comic books. I have a magazine, Life magazine, 1966, about the COVID virus. 1966, 54 years ago, they were talking about the COVID virus and what it does. In 1966,
Well,
on
it's
the cover of Life
it's a
magazine.
coronavirus. I
Right.
mean, the cold is a coronavirus.
Right, but
So yeah, of course they're talking about it.
so if the cold and the flu are if the flu is a coronavirus, it's
Yes.
not, what they're saying is we're always going to have the flu. We always had the flu, but now they're going to name it COVID.
COVID-19.
They're going to name it COVID-19, except in Great Britain where they have a new strain.
Of COVID-19.
So this is going to constantly be going, and I just decide personally, and this is personal John Salley, I am going to stay plant-based, herbed up, alkaline, and hydrated.
So you're not taking the vaccine
No.
at all, ever. What if they require for you to be vaccinated to take a flight? Any flight, including private.
Well, I won't fly on Qantas, which already has done that.
Okay.
If you're forcing me to put dead animal products inside my body, and I choose right now, where there's a bunch of dead animal products, not to put on my body, not to put on my skin, but you're telling me, forget what your morals and ethics are. We got to keep killing these animals because we have to keep making this virus vaccine for us to live. I don't think anything should die for me to live. So
Are they using?
yeah, it's dead animal products inside of
Okay.
your vaccine. I'm not interested.
Okay. Well, I'm taking it as soon as it's available.
Good.
I'll take your dose. If you get the
You-
call before I do, just
Matter
hey,
of fact-
Vlad, I'm going to do a handoff to you.
Take
I
my
will-
dose and give me the clearance card.
Okay, cool. That's
But-
how we're going to do
But
it.
if they're going to literally globalize this and make me literally a guinea pig or make me part of their system of me having to put different things inside my body, you should not be allowed to force me to put things in my body.
Okay, fair enough.
And if you got the vaccine, I don't need it. That means I can't get you sick. Or if I
Right,
ever get
exactly.
it, then if everybody has the vaccine,
There
then
you go.
I'm cool.
You're cool. Yeah.
Because I can't give it to you.
Right.
You're vaccinated.
You're vaccinated. There you go.
Okay.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving. Another one of my favorites.
So he didn't talk to the media. He said, it's really how I feel about the mistreatment of certain artists when we get to a certain platform of when we make decisions within our lives to have full control and ownership. Kyrie Irving referred to himself as an artist.
He is.
You think so?
Isaiah Thomas said he's never seen anybody handle the ball like that. That's like saying I've never seen anybody literally handle a paintbrush like that. I've never seen anybody literally use their vocal cords like that. So to be able to take an instrument like a basketball and do the things he can do with it by dribbling it, that's artistry. Artistry. So George Gervin, artistry. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, artistry. There was ballet on a basketball court in the air. So yeah, he is an artist. And if in his artistry, he should be able to determine how and what he wants to say about it. What we would call it is eccentric if he was Prince, or if he was Mozart, or if he was Warhol. So yeah, Warhol's an artist, and all he did is take paint with a brush.
Didn't even do that. He just told people to go and photocopy some pictures and throw some color on top,
Right.
and so forth.
Basquiat decided to take garbage,
Yeah.
put it together, and paint over it,
Now it sells for hundreds of millions of dollars.
and should.
Yeah. Well, Charles Barkley disagreed with you. He said he starts talking about what an artist he is. He's a basketball player. That's what he is. Listen, we're not frontline responders. We're not teachers. Yo, man, you dribble a basketball. Stop acting like you're the smartest person in the world.
That's Charles' ignorance. Meaning, I didn't say stupidity. I said ignorance, not knowing. You are a basketball player. We don't have to be frontline because they want LeBron to take the vaccine. So obviously, what we do, say, and move moves millions of people. Charles, I said it before, when you constantly go against the narrative of the artist, because you used to be an artist, and it sounds like you're saying something that's good, that's Charles' opinion. No matter how wrong it is, I just proved to you, according to an artist, using just a brush and paint, and out of their brain or out of whatever muscle control they have, we consider that to be art. The muscle control that Kyrie has with his wrists, arms, balls, and hand is the same.
No, I mean, now that you say it and I think about it, would a lot of people say that Michael Jordan was an artist on the court? I think most people would say yes.
Yeah.
You're just not giving that same level of respect to Kyrie because it's Jordan, and Jordan is put on a pedestal and is considered more, bigger than the sport itself.
Right.
But yeah, I guess so. I guess the way he moved on the court, you could say it was artistic.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is, especially Kyrie. Isaiah said it best. Nobody has had handles in the NBA better than Kyrie. He said that. Mahmoud Rauf, yeah, close to it. He had great handles, and great playing. White Chocolate, Stephon Marbury, come on, man. It was unbelievable what they can do. But the no talking to the media. When I watch Kevin Durant do it, I think that's a form of him wanting to intimidate them, to keep them from asking questions that maybe they shouldn't, or staying away from him. He doesn't want or need to be MVP. He just needs to win, and that's enough. Kyrie Irving being plant-based, along with CP3, they're starting to realize when you stop eating that dead animal, your brain opens up. You become conscious.
Well, what do you think about they're actually able to manufacture meat in laboratories now?
Yeah, I saw that. Grafting and cloning.
Yeah, so essentially, you could create chicken in a vat.
Correct.
Without killing any chickens.
Correct. Well, you kill it.
Me and Russell
You're going to
Simmons.
kill it to eat it, but yeah. No matter how. So you notice it's 19 78. It's named Betsy. Betsy was the first cloned sheep.
Yeah, right.
So the FDA has not banned the cloning of animals. So to let people know, they've been cloning the animals you eat since the 80s. That's why there's so many of them. They rape the heifers. They artificially inseminate them. And then they live usually 12 years, but they only live 4 because the ones that make milk, they keep artificially inseminating them. So that got to the point where that's hard to do. So they figure out a way to make clone meat inside. I watched, my boy Walter said, hey man, look, this is lab-made meat. And it wasn't the animal alive. It was just that part of the meat they wanted made. They wanted a burger, they wanted a chicken, they wanted a breast. I also believe I'd rather eat the plant than things that come out of plants
Well,
or manufacturing.
I mean, in this particular case, right? There's a company called a U.S. company called Eat Just, which I think already makes like, plant-based eggs and stuff like
Right.
that. They're able to actually create meat in bioreactors without the slaughter of any animals.
Yeah.
So you could create a huge vat of chicken meat.
Correct.
And they're now selling this chicken in Singapore.
Yeah, they're testing it. In
Yeah, I
places.
mean, listen, me and Russell Simmons were texting each other about this. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, yo, I think this is the future. And I'm like, I agree. Like,
Okay, but this is the problem with eating animal flesh. It's one, the fact that it's a sentinel being. That's the first thing. Two,
not in this case. Not in this case. It's
That-
not. It was never a sentinel being.
but that means that, okay, so let's take out of the fact that you take the consciousness out of the meat you're about to eat. You still are eating saturated fats, which are bad for human consumption.
Right. Although
Only certain saturated fats.
Although Impossible
Coconut.
Burgers aren't really all that healthy for you either.
I agree.
I'm just saying.
I agree on the Impossible Burger is why I'm with Beyond Meat. I agree. Don't
I'm
eat that.
just saying
It's
that-
impossible for you to digest that bullshit. Beyond Meat. No soy. No GMO. A lot of GMO things go into that Impossible Meat. You're right. Thank you for that plug for Beyond Meat.
There you go. You still own stock?
No, I'm out of that stock, but I'm into an entire another stock called Tidal,
Okay.
which is about to make a huge announcement. When's this going to launch?
Next few weeks.
Yeah, so in the next few weeks, there's going to be a huge announcement to this hemp oil company I'm involved in called Tidal, with a huge personality and many to follow.
Dope. What do you think about the whole Kawhi Leonard recruitment thing that's happening right now? The NBA is investigating that something may have not been above board with that.
You mean, how cool is this? Doc Rivers leaves, goes to Philly, takes Sam Cassell with him, great, but is able to leave Ty Lue in his place, because Ty Lue deserves that gig. And I watched the Clippers play the Lakers Tuesday. And it's really hard to play well the night you get your championship ring. I remember. It's hard because you're like, wow. And the other guy down there was like, oh, nice ring. I'm gonna bust your ass. So you got like 15 minutes to enjoy this. Yeah, man. Put it in the locker, man. Don't put it in my locker. Put it in the safe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like all sitting around, and the guy over there is like, oh, nice ring. I'm gonna bust your ass.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hard game to play. But watching what transpired with the Clippers, they put together a team that hopefully won't disappear in the last 12 minutes. And I think that last 12 minutes, those guys remember, it's going to haunt them until they get over it. So getting guys in there to Kawhi, getting guys in there that understand what their job is and what their focus needs to be is just as LeBron did when he had a conversation with AD, or LeBron or D Wade had a conversation with LeBron when it's time to come to Miami. KD having a conversation with Steph Curry when it's time to go to Golden State. You as a professional athlete now, guys getting $220 million, you should be in control of where you're going to, as they would say, matriculate in college, where you're going to literally go and take your talents, because it's really all about you. You're the one getting the deal. You're the one getting the money. You're an individual, and I would say the older advice I got from that lady, you are literally an individual company playing with 12 other individual companies that need to work together to get to a common goal of winning a championship.
Well, Kawhi said he's happy, with his decision to join the Clippers over the Lakers, even though the Lakers just won.
Right.
I guess Jerry West, there was a voicemail that came out that he called the Lakers a shit show. And Jerry West is being sued by a man who, said that he helped the Clippers sign Kawhi Leonard. He's being sued for $2.5 million. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, you're pretty good with these predictions. Who do you see in the finals this year?
I see the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals.
No Lakers.
No Lakers.
No Warriors.
No Warriors.
No Brooklyn Nets.
No Brooklyn Nets. The
Okay.
reason, and this is my reason. The Lakers, when I saw McGee and Rondo and Dwight on other teams, it takes a team to win a championship. Proven fact, Michael Jordan couldn't do it without a team. Kobe couldn't do it without a team. I love that they got Gasol on the squad, but this offense works differently. And the fact that Kawhi is asking Ty Lue to put the triangle offense in is because Kawhi realized Phil Jackson won 10 championships with a system.
Mm-hmm.
They won with a system in Golden State. That was an important thing. So I think Kawhi realizing the system everybody can play in the system of a triangle if you got into the professional level. And if he implements it properly, these guys is gonna destroy anybody that comes in their way.
Well, they're not testing for marijuana this season.
They should have never tested for marijuana in the NBA.
I agree.
It should, and I am so happy that the NBA is now, they're not letting guys advertise CBD products. But if they did, would be on I'm gonna have it, blessed or not, on as many NBA chairs in the locker room this season as possible.
Okay.
And they'll see for themselves. And then we'll get to Adam Silver and explain, especially with the announcement of the athlete that we're bringing on is so major and huge that now people are going to start paying attention all over again. The NBA also realizing it was a waste of time. It was a waste of money testing guys for marijuana. They sit in a room and smoke weed, not in a nightclub, not in a strip joint. They sit in a room and smoke weed and get blazed out and go to sleep. That's what you want your athletes to do.
You don't want them drinking.
You don't want them drinking and destroying the liver and being upset and being a problem. You don't want them sitting there and drinking scotch and playing cards and going to their cars. And you don't want that. You don't want them in those environments. You want them in a complete relaxed state. The cannabis plant heals.
Did you see my interview with Richard Dumas?
No.
You know who that is?
Yeah, I do know Richard Dumas.
Very, very interesting
Whoa,
story.
whoa, whoa! I did see that. That was the ex-basketball player?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played for Phoenix.
Yeah.
With Charles Barkley against Michael Jordan in the finals.
Yeah.
He was one of the key players
Mm-hmm.
on the Phoenix side.
I did see that.
They didn't win, unfortunately,
Well,
but he was one of the big dogs on that squad.
they weren't going to beat they were not going to beat the triangle.
That just wasn't gonna happen.
It's just not going to happen. Everybody that's come up against a triangle has not won.
Yeah, I feel you.
And unless you want to tell me somebody who had, they said, well, you guys beat them. Triangle wasn't implemented properly. Once they implemented it, we couldn't beat them.
Well, this was a phenomenal athlete, but number one had very serious mental issues.
Yeah.
I forgot how he said it, but it was like a serious mental disorder. He started smoking crack at 18, would kind of binge in and out of that. But really his main thing was he couldn't deal with crowds and couldn't deal with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So he would just start drinking heavily before games. And he would play well after he would drink, but
it became a problem. Yeah, anytime you have to rely on something, any stimulant outside of your own brain stimulant, is a problem because you can't control how much you get into. You watch Limitless. If you take too much of it. I have a teammate, great guy, Willie Burton. Willie Burton is a major part of the NBA paying attention to mental health illnesses. And you would say, man, that guy's crazy. You'd say that. And then, you think of what Dave Chappelle said is, it's dismissive just to say somebody's crazy and not pay attention to everything that's happening. But Willie Burton, along with the NBA Player Association and Retired Player Association, has really put a focus and light. And the NBA has not taken it lightly. They have taken it into complete consideration about mental health issues. Everyone has them. Being a black man, you automatically are born with a trauma. So you have already the trauma of being an American and black. But on top of that, things that go along with it, look at Metta World Peace. Metta World Peace, one of the first guys to say, hey, I want to thank my therapist.
Yeah, after he won the finals.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he said.
Yeah, man, because he knows it's all mental, right? The game is all about money, but then winning is all mental. It's entirely mental. How long you can stay focused will literally determine if you win a championship or not.
Do you think Dennis Rodman has serious mental issues?
I don't know if Dennis has serious mental issues. I know he has serious traumas from upbringing.
Yeah,
definitely. And I saw his documentary when, I watched, the nail painting thing is one thing, the dress wearing thing is another. I think Dennis Rodman is free. And I think Dennis Rodman makes it so much easier. There's a show, like I mentioned, Little Fires Everywhere, where Reese Witherspoon's daughter, one is acting like her, one is a star, one kid is like awkward, and then the youngest daughter is straight up, as they would say, a freak or different. And she was like, I'm not your puppet. So that's an important thing that a lot of people want everybody to go by the rules and fall in line. And to fall in line from the puppetry. And I think Dennis Rodman, along with Mike Tyson, were able to find and fight their ways through their traumas, and they display them differently.
According to TK Kirkland, he feels that Madonna turned out Dennis Rodman in the same way that Erykah Badu turns out her men.
Madonna had this ability to get into your soul, to make you feel like you should be who you want to be, don't let no one control you, etc. And I think that's this, and this is just my opinion. I wasn't in the room.
Okay.
I don't know how she had all the sex with him or whatever. I don't know.
So,
it's just my opinion.
So you're saying she was the original Erykah Badu?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because I heard, now my son put me up on Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
My son said to me, Dad, every woman, every man that Erykah Badu dates becomes a different person.
Yeah.
They become spiritual, the way they dress, it's just amazing, that kind of woman, how she changes men.
What are all those women who are real, true goddesses?
Yeah.
And Erykah Badu is one.
Mm-hmm.
Madonna is one. But Madonna didn't turn Dennis out. But Madonna explained to Dennis there was a game inside of a game he wasn't playing. And when he was cutting his hair, when Thomas, our friend, God rest his soul, was cutting words and designs into Dennis's head, they were like, oh, that's cute, that's great. When Dennis gets to San Antonio, and then the Demolition Man comes out, and Wesley Snipes has on blue contacts and his hair mohawked and cut blonde, Dennis did that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first design. It got so much attention and so cool, and it was something you can do because he doesn't sleep in the afternoon but play video games anyway. It was another time to dye your hair, and then he had better people dye. He was in Baps with Halle Berry getting his nails done, but his hair was dyed. I mean, he was in a movie with Van Damme riding a motorcycle, wearing a corset and tights. I mean, Dennis has literally done so many things that people will go, I ain't gonna fight him.
He was in a Van Damme movie.
He was in a Van Damme movie with his hair painted, wearing a
Green,
corset, purple corset with tights. I watched it, I seen it, and I was like, he is transcending everything of a professional athlete. He has totally made himself an artist.
Well, you mentioned Baps. We just lost one of the stars,
Yeah.
Natalie DeSalle Reed, 53.
53, man.
Whoosh.
We just lost Ecstasy from Houdini.
Ecstasy from Houdini. Friends, still a classic song.
Me and you
day.
should be singing that song.
I know, right?
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 How many of us have them, Vlad?
Exactly. Ones you can't depend on.
I know.
Before we go any further, the hell, 2020, shit.
Yeah,
that really tested that song out. And then you have Tiny Lister.
Yeah. I was with Tiny last year. So I took Tiny to Global Cardio Care. I was in the airport when my daughter and I were flying to MJJ Con. And Tiny's legs, he had on these black pants and it looked like he was wearing tights, and it was just like his edema was terrible. And I automatically sit with him and his manager. I said, you got to get to this machine. Shaq bought the machine and put it in his house. It's very important for big people to be on this machine. But it's electromagnetic pulsing machine. But Tiny goes in. I got Martin Lawrence on it, man. Martin Lawrence is like, everything is putting him back in the system. And Tiny gets on it, lose like 9 pounds that day just of water weight.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people, that's the holdup. Like I said, your body swells. I don't know what the total thing is he passed from, but I've been friends with Tiny for a very long time. And the fact that he was working at trying to get his heart and his body in working condition. I miss Tiny. He was a good dude.
Well, he died from COVID, is what they say.
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
And he was talking about he was looking forward to taking the vaccine.
Yeah.
Yep. That was like his last interview. I had never met him. I was around him once. But I think Ice Cube said it best. America's favorite bully.
Yeah, man.
And he played it up. Played it up.
So back when I first wanted to do comedy, man, this is '87, and I'm just gonna go to comedy. I go to see Robin Harris. I think I tell the story. I got on a pink outfit, all right, pink shirt, linen pants go with it, and I walk in, and Robin Harris said, "Look at that tall bottle of Pepto-Bismol." Glad I got up. I had rented a Rolls Royce too. I walk outside in Lamert Park. I get in my Rolls Royce. I drive back to Central City. I throw that outfit in the garbage. I probably just paid $400. I throw it in the garbage. I put on my jeans. I go back. And when I get back, Tiny Lister is sitting up front. And Robin Harris is having a time with Tiny. And Tiny stands up. And he's saying something. And he was like, somebody put something in Tiny's mouth. My zipper's busted. And I hit the floor. And Tiny started going to stage. And Robin Harris was like, and Tiny was mad. At first I thought he was joking, but he was mad because he did not like being joked at that point. But he figured it. And he did so, he took this character everywhere. but he's the nicest, he was the coolest dude in the world. But he took the character where he needed to take it, which was cool. His best character was in Fifth Element, though. He got to show he can act.
Well, he was the president of the universe,
president.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually kind of funny. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. You talk about how Robin Harris made you throw away an outfit.
Yeah.
Faison Love had a similar story with Robin Harris.
My first all-black crowd was with me and Robin Harris. He came down to host. This for people who know who Robin was. This comedy, I think it was Bees, some little rinky-dink place, held about maybe 40, 50 people. And I had some red shoes on, some red boots. And he talked about my boots so damn bad when I got on stage. I went downstairs and took the boots off and threw them in the trash. I was like, man, don't ever let me buy no goddamn red boots.
It's a true statement, man. Robert, hey, man, I thought I was going to be sharp, too. Real men wear pink. I ain't afraid. It was buttoned down. It went all the way to here.
Robin Harris will make you throw your own clothes away.
Guaranteed.
Multiple situations now.
I didn't even know that about him.
He will make fun of you so badly that you will throw away your own outfit.
And you know, what's his name? Keenan Ivan Wayans said, you know, the deal with black folks is that we really don't laugh at ourselves too well. You know, back in the day, a knife would come out if you're joking with somebody too much, you get cut up. Man, Robin Harris was, and let me tell you, all I saw was every girl in the place looking at me laughing. It wasn't, but that's all I felt and saw. I felt my 7-foot body getting smaller and smaller, and then all I thought of is Pepto-Bismol. If I wear pink right now, I would just think, I look like I'm a big bottle of Pepto-Bismol. He has traumatized me. Robin Harris.
You haven't worn pink since.
I have. If I do, I got a pink sweatshirt. I think I wore it twice. You know, I got my golf sweatshirt from Tyler, the Creator. I just think I wore it twice. I love the powder pink, but man, Robin Harris is traumatized.
Did you watch the Tyson Jones fight?
Yeah, I watched the Tyson Jones fight. I had a great friend of mine able to. I had to do it differently, so they FaceTimed the camera for me.
Oh, right, because you were in Canada at the time.
I was in Canada.
Right.
And they was like, you still could have got, I don't know. But I tell you, I watched, Roy Jones was out of shape.
Yeah.
Lungs-wise. Like, if Roy would have been in the same system and his lungs were right,
yeah,
it was a difficult situation. And Mike knew, too. That was the one thing about Mike Tyson. Mike knew to keep his hands up. Because Roy could hit you this way and then move over, hit you, and then move back. He's like Mayweather like that. And I think if Roy would have been lungs-wise in shape, he just didn't want to get knocked out. And he said every punch hurt.
Yeah, I think Tyson kind of held him up the last few rounds. That's what I think.
Really?
I think Tyson could have knocked him out.
No, because he wasn't going to. Roy wasn't letting him get to that power punch. Listen, that bend, as soon as Mike bends right, you know, as soon as he bends right, you know it's coming. Roy was tagging him back.
I mean, Roy had like.
If he would hit him with an uppercut, that would have been it. Plus, Roy been knocked out before. I made that joke about
Roy's
it, right?
been knocked
When
out.
Roy was like, Roy ain't going back to get knocked out again.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was not a draw.
You don't think it was a
There
draw?
was no damn draw. Tyson controlled that whole fight.
The narrative, yeah, but if you check out the slow-mos and we're going by points, there was, I agree with you. I agree Mike Tyson won.
Absolutely.
But I think it was good.
Yeah.
Once again, everybody is show business.
Yeah.
It
was a great show.
It was a great show.
But leading up to the Tyson and Jones fight was Jake Paul and Nate Robinson. Zab Judah came on my show and he said that Nate Robinson is the only boxer to go 0-3 in one fight.
You know, Nate Robinson is probably the only fighter I know that had one fight, but so he's 1-3. Cause he got knocked out 3 times in that fight. You know what I'm saying? So
One fight.
1 fight, 3 losses.
3
you know
losses.
What I'm saying? I mean, but he's
Okay.
still my boy though. I mean, listen.
He was knocked out 3 times in the course of that one fight.
Okay, so I did a show which came on Netflix, which is called Cook with Cannabis. Khalees is the host.
Oh, okay.
And Nate and I was smoking weed with a comedian, but Nate, I got Nate's number. I didn't even know that this was gonna happen. Nate's number's not the same.
He changed his number.
The number I got is not the same. Because I waited 4 days
Okay.
and I said, I'm gonna call him 4 days after.
Right.
And, talk to him about whatever. And he always knows, I like angles. I was like, hey, maybe you should try this angle now, because this happened. But bruh, I used to train with Larry Musgrove, who was a middleweight champion. And how I got to him is Denzel used to train with him for Hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
Training, I knew I shouldn't box. Just training, I ain't gonna box.
Look, number one, we make our jokes and everything else like that, but Nate, you have to be quite a man to get into that ring. Okay, number one, to get into that ring on that stage, on that level, opening up for Mike Tyson, it takes a lot.
You
Okay,
should train.
It takes a lot. But like I said, and I've had this conversation with Zab Judah, with Michael Jai White, actual fighters who have fought at high levels, right? They both agreed that it didn't look like Nate Robinson spent very much time in the ring leading up to this fight.
Right. He just sat around and said, oh, white kid from YouTube. Anybody could, right?
I'm a professional athlete. And listen, the optics of it, when you looked at that fight, and I saw Nate Robinson and Jake Paul, I said, okay, Nate Robinson gonna beat his ass. He's more muscular. He's a professional athlete.
Didn't you think the same thing when what's his name from Onyx?
Sticky Fingers?
Sticky Fingers. You thought Sticky Fingers, listen, anybody can get caught.
Right.
But if you're going to box, you should train. It is the trickiest. Is why it's my favorite sport. Everyone would say, what's your favorite sport? I would say boxing.
Yeah.
It's because it is the trickiest, hardest thing. Just hitting pads, right? If they're calling out numbers, if they're calling out jab, right? Duck, come under, hook. Just me showing you that right there is a hard thing to learn. Learning to not do this to throw a hook, learning to throw a hook from here, or learning to hit from here.
Michael Jai White, who trains with UFC, he trained, he sparred with John Bones Jones recently. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is the level that he does it at.
Right.
What he said, as someone who really knows what they're doing, unlike me, he said, as soon as that fight started, and I saw Nate Robinson would jab and just hold his fist out there, he was like, oh my God, this is about to end so badly. Like, he's like, what is he doing? You're supposed to snap your jab. You're not supposed to just hold it out there like a damn flagpole.
Like Nate would he would punch and just keep his arm out there. And I'm like, I'm like, the first time I saw him do that, I'm like, oh my God, you're setting yourself up for like destruction.
So he would keep his jab out there? Is that what
he was locking his arms out with every punch.
Oh.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Somebody
no time
who knows
in
how
the
to
ring.
fight just goes, whoa, that's a recipe for destruction.
Yeah, I don't
There's another great boxer, Frankie Lyles.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankie Lyles used to go over to Japan to train K1 boxers in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a boxer training people in the ring where you can use your hands, use your feet, but he was training the boxing technique. Just watching a real boxer, when you get in, when they come up on you, you already know you're in trouble.
Right.
You know you're in trouble is why you see boxers push a guy back. Because if he Marvin Haglers you, gets in, Joe Frazier, if they get in and they start hitting you, what's his name, Canelo? If they start hitting that body, you remember what happened when the executioner hit Oscar De La Hoya in the liver and then stepped back and he just got on one knee and didn't get up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Professional
Nate
boxing.
should have gone in. Somebody should have taught him. It's not just going to it and hit it.
He
what
would
you see
rush
on
him
television.
like he was playing football.
Yeah.
Like it was a mess. And the knockout was so ugly.
It's
At the end,
me and you. I send you so
Oh my
many
God.
clips.
oh my God.
Anything I saw with Nate on it, and Nate, I love you. I'm not laughing, but funny's funny.
Funny's funny. Yo, I mean, there was this one meme that actually showed him lying there while like Tyson and Jones were, were fighting. He was still asleep in the ring while they started boxing. Yo,
I'm so happy that's not going to be on my obituary. I'm not going to be known.
but
as
look,
a-
man, listen, Nate, number one, you should come on VladTV, first of all.
I was calling him and
Come
telling
on,
him because
yeah.
you said, Sal, maybe you can do an interview. The first.
Go interview with John Salley on VladTV, Nate. Come on,
Nate,
y'all fuck with
please.
each other. Come on.
And I'm not going to clown you.
Nah.
I'm going to ask you everything else. We're going to get to the fight.
We're gonna get to it. We're gonna
But
get
he's
to
an
it.
interesting human being too, man. This guy got 1.1 million followers on Instagram.
Probably got more now.
Yeah, like Nate won didn't he win the slam dunk contest?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This guy is an amazing athlete.
Yes, amazing. Won the slam dunk contest at how tall is he? Like 5'10" or something?
Something like that. Yeah, 5'11".
Hold on, Nate.
And so 5'11" or 6 foot. Just that
he is
thought.
5 foot. Hold on, he's 5'9".
5'9".
5'9", winning the slam dunk contest. Like
Unbelievable.
that just sounds. That's why when I looked at it, I said, okay. I mean, look, he's just a much better athlete than Jake Paul. Like, I mean, the stats speak for themselves.
And then Jake Paul is going to put out a challenge to McGregor.
yeah,
So this is what Jake wants. Jake wants to get knocked out and leave with a bunch of money.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
that's what he wants.
Because if you get in the ring with McGregor, he's not going to knock you out in the first round. He's going to tease and beat the shit out of him for the entire thing until you hear that tap last 10 seconds. Then he's going to knock him out.
Oh yeah.
So I'm telling Jake Paul, I'm not going to fight you. I'm too old to even get into this. But if you don't want to fight McGregor,
No,
You
that's gonna be a
don't-
mess.
you don't
Well,
want to fight
But
the champ.
Logan Paul is fighting Mayweather. And I remember me and Zab Judah were at Tyson's gym because we had to do some reshooting around the interview, right? And we're hanging out, smoking weed, and he's like, I went to Logan Paul's training camp. Yo, he gonna fight Mayweather. I'm like, psh, fuck out of here. He ain't gonna fight no damn Mayweather 50-0, fight a YouTuber. No, never gonna happen, Zab. Never, never, never. Get that phone call from Zab. Told you.
How much is it?
You mean how much they're getting paid?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but from what I understand, Floyd is getting most of it,
Right. He's the
as he
promoter.
should.
He
He's
should.
the draw. Like,
I'm like McGregor. The picture of McGregor, I was a McGregor fan in the beginning because I loved MMA since I first saw it in Japan. And I met the Gracie
Gracies.
family. Gracie family.
Gracie family.
I loved it then. I told the people at Fox that this was the future. So I always, when McGregor came out, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was on a private jet with like a fake bag full of money flying back with, I love that scene because that's what he did it for. But what, $25 million he might make, $20 million
Yeah.
in one fight? Like the way he's looking at it in 12 minutes? Well, 12 rounds or 8 rounds? Some people,
If it lasts that long?
yeah.
If it lasts that long, yeah. And listen, Jake Paul is calling his wife ugly and all types of shit to try to get under his skin.
Yeah, he wants to get knocked out.
He wants to get knocked
He
out.
wants to get knocked out for millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
He's saying, I'm not going to die, right? Just make sure you wake me back up. Make sure I didn't bite my tongue off. And if I didn't, I'm still going to be a star on YouTube because people are going to watch this on YouTube and his channel is going to get more and more views or whatever he can do. I'm sure it's negotiated.
Well, listen, I thought I was doing okay with YouTube. That little kid that opens up toys for a living made $29 million this year. I said, man, never mind.
Yeah,
I ain't doing shit.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
clearly in the wrong.
Obviously, lightning didn't hit you.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, you mentioned Dwayne Martin. You
Yeah,
guys
man.
are friends.
Yeah, man.
They just finalized that divorce.
That's good. That's good for Dwayne and Tisha.
Tisha gets no alimony, but she gets to keep the house and the car. I mean, neither one of them is raking in massive amounts of money these days, the way they did in their heyday. So I think that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's an experience. I think, it's funny too because Dwayne doesn't talk about it. The one time we were having a conversation, we were sitting around, we were in Malibu, we was looking at the ocean, and he said, everything right now, he said a year ago, everything has changed. He said, as in completely everything in his life, it totally changed. And then he came out to the Cafe Organics, because he was the first telling me about Arrowhead and all that stuff. And he came out and tasted the food, loved the food, and I didn't get a check for LA's Finest. So June came around, I'm like, he got a check, because we were on hold. They were talking about doing the next season, but then they canceled it, I guess, because of George Floyd. No one went to see movies of cops behaving poorly. And I called my lawyer. I was like, hey, man, Dwayne got a check. Am I going to get a check? He was like, nah, that's what happens when they make you a guest appearance as opposed to staff. So I learned that one right there. If you're going to put me on a show, I'm going to be on crew in order to get those residuals and how it works. But I think Dwayne has always been resilient. Brooklyn's built you that way. And, it was a good, they got kids, they had a great experience. Now you go on to your next chapter.
Well, there was a trial set for R. Kelly's case, September 13th. I looked it up. He's been locked up since July 2019. If this even happens, because they're saying that it might get pushed back because of COVID.
September 13th, 2021?
Yes. He's been locked up. If he even gets this trial, you're talking about over 2 years, like 2.5 years of waiting in Cook County Jail in Chicago, getting stabbed by pens. I mean, just some of the worst living conditions that a human being could have in America.
And they don't play his music.
So
if you don't play his music, he's not getting any streaming, no publishing. Like they literally are going after Kels.
Yeah,
I think I usually don't talk on him because it's a weird situation. Some of the things I heard, I didn't know was happening. He just loved basketball, what I remember. But then when I, heard some of the things, I saw part of the documentary, I saw what some of the girls are saying. It's a trip because one of the girls is stuck by him and still on his side.
I think one girl.
One.
But the other, there's two of them that were kind of like a little partnership, and one of them has gone rogue.
One of them was gone, and started
man, listen, he deserves his day in court. He gets to argue what he's going to argue. It's looking very bad for him. The fact that he can't bond out or bail out with as much work as he's put in and the amount of money that he's generated, because did they give him a bail and he just can't afford it, or did they just revoked his bail?
All I realize is after seeing Surviving R. Kelly, the court of public opinion
is a wrap. It's a wrap.
The court of public opinion is really tough on you.
Well, Bill Cosby's still locked up.
Yeah.
He's been shouting out VladTV guests, actually.
Oh, really?
On his Instagram. Yeah, Boosie got shouted out.
Yeah, man.
But people that basically speak in support of him, and usually VladTV is one of those places. So, Faison Love got shouted out.
Hey, let me tell you, Dr. Bill Cosby has taught me a lot. And Dr. Bill Cosby was nice to me since he first met me. And I went to the Playboy Jazz Fest, and my boy Drew got my brother Jerry and I tickets 2011. I love Bill Cosby. I since I was a little boy. And so, God willing, none of the things they said about him is true. And that it is all big being there play way, but it's kind of hard to get me not to be a Bill Cosby fan.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying he's not showering. because of COVID. He's too scared to catch it. A man at his age catching COVID is probably going to be a wrap.
And he's blind.
And he's blind, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that part too. Mystical just had his rape charges dropped.
Should have. You know, even the first ones he talked about, you know, we talk about what happens when people are doing things inside the fishbowl. I remember I was with him in Jamaica. I love Mystical, man. And the fact that, you know, he was caught up in that second case like that, it just tarnishes, right? It just tarnishes what they say about you and how.
Yeah, well, he just had his case dropped. So it's
So when's he home?
He is home. He is home. Eminem took a shot at Snoop on his new album. Yeah.
What'd he say?
Let's take a look. Well, I guess a while back, Snoop had done like a top 10 rapper list. He'd include Eminem in it or something like that. Sounds like some general pettiness, if you ask me. But in the song Zeus, Eminem said, "Diplomatic as I'm trying to be, last thing I need is Snoop dogging me. Man, dog, you was like a god to me. Nah, not really. I had dog backwards. But I'm starting to think all these people taking shots at me, shit, it's no wonder."
That's an unbelievable lyric. I had dog backwards. Whew. Woo! That is dope.
Yeah. Snoop kind of responded. He said, back in the day, if someone hated you, it meant you did something wrong. Nowadays, it means you did something right. People think that it's a response to Eminem. It'd be great. Let me tell you, man. Snoop Dogg did an Eminem diss record. And
It would be the biggest mistake in Snoop Dogg's life.
You don't think so?
Let me tell you again. The biggest mistake in Snoop Dogg's life would be do a reply record. Snoop is hip hop. Snoop is hip hop. Jay-Z is great. Nas is great. Biggie is great. Tupac is great. Eminem is great. Hip hop, as it is as we see it, is Snoop Dogg. To the point where everybody knows that. So when you walk in and you see Snoop, you think weed and hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you think. You think of the dog, of what he changed how everything, like Biggie said, right? I want to sell records like Snoop. Mm-hmm. Like Snoop is hip hop. So for him to even look at that and reply to it, he'd be like, remember, Eminem just said, you are a god to me. So gods can do what they want. He can say, hey man, I left you out because I didn't want to put you in this whole thing and leave it at that. But it was, just don't go after Eminem. Let me tell you, the lyrical prowess of this young man, I know we don't mention it, but like Royce the 5'9", like, I'm gonna tell you, I've heard a lot of rappers in my life. That's my thing. If you would ask me, I love art, I love vegan food, I love hip hop, and I love my family. Hip hop is in there. And so when I hear lyrics, I just get so caught up in the word play. It's why I like J. Cole. It's why I like Kendrick. Not because everyone else does. There's a kid named Q that Ninth Wonder just produced. Unbelievable. So when I hear lyricists, Logic, Jordan Lucas, like when I hear these lyrics coming out of these cats, these words like Nas, put these words together, Jay-Z, I listen to them to this day because I like the wordplay. 2 Chainz is probably my favorite, next to Eminem and Royce the 5'9", when we talk about this, how it's going. Of course, Andre 3000, we'll be here all day. But, because I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah.
But Eminem putting words together, don't do it.
His new album actually was the first album that didn't go #1 in I think ever since his first album. Something like that.
Yeah.
New album's it's not a bad album. I just don't think it's up to the quality level of a usual Eminem
It's just
album.
too much time in between.
Wasn't that much time. This is Music to be Murdered by Part 2. I mean, he dropped Part 1 earlier in the year, right?
What I meant by the return of Eminem, because everybody else got to put their pieces in. Think about how Drake does it. Drake does a song, every week for the past
Yeah,
9
pretty
years.
much.
You know, when you're feeding the beast that much, you move into a different position.
And this will be my final question. You and I are not musicians.
Right.
You know, we're not rappers, singers.
We're enjoyers.
We're enjoyers. So from our point of view, from your point of view in particular, why do you think that as most artists, singers, rappers, whatever, get older, they usually go on into a decline of some level? Their height is usually 20s, teens, early 30s, but that's about it.
Right.
Now you could say, oh, well, Jay-Z's still popping. Not like he was popping back then. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Snoop still comes out with stuff, but you're not going to compare it to Doggy Style Snoop.
Right.
You know, you could really pick damn near anybody, and once they're in their 40s, they can sometimes hold on to it, but they're never at their height ever again. And you're vocalizing, you still have the vocal cords, and now you have all the experience of songwriting and learning, okay, these types of hooks work. This is how you put stuff together. This is the crew of people I need around me to be the most creative, whatever else. But yet, with all those things going for them, no artist really reaches their height that they have in their 20s and 30s.
The reason, there's a couple of reasons. Hunger.
Okay.
So your desperation is different. Your first album is usually your entire life up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you put your whole life into that album, and then they say, oh, give us another one. Well,
A
I'm
year
already
later,
giving
yeah.
you my life. So now I have to give you gimmick. Then on top of it, you learn more because you get put into a different position. So you're not speaking from a position of looking at the stage. You're on the stage to literally give everybody the information that they supposed to. Now you're in a different position. So now you have a little bit more responsibility and more people are holding your words at a different level. The other problem is all these different people around you who helped you with your first album also become a little bit more successful and they want to spread their wings. You want to stay on a path and they go, well, I want to do this now. I want to sound like this now. This is my sound now. I heard this when we were in India, when we were in Indonesia, when we were in Thailand, and I heard what they were listening to, and I want to put that in my music. And now I want to put Afro punk into my music, and I want to put Afro beats. You're gonna run into what the audience is running to. It's a hard thing to constantly keep going. And you now don't have the same values that you had when you were in your 20s and carefree and you sleep till 11 or 1. You now have responsibility. So your life has changed and your raps have to change. And people don't want to hear that part of your life changing. They want to hear the low vibrating. They really don't want to hear you vibrate higher. So you're running into that, and you got to think of the machine. Same thing as with Giannis. He's the MVP for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So being the MVP in the rap game, they don't want that. They want the conflict. They want the lower vibrating situation. They want Cardi B and Nicki to argue. They want Meg Thee Stallion to be with Nicki. They want conflict because that's how they build their reality show, even though it's not real.
I mean, an artist is an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even just talking about rap. I'm talking about like 9 Inch Nails with songs like Hurt that got remade by Johnny Cash and it would give it a whole new life. And, you got these incredible musicians and songwriters that, 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor does movie soundtracks now. He's not putting out music anymore.
Nina Simone. If Nina Simone were alive and went to talk music now, it probably wouldn't resonate. It wouldn't resonate, even though she was a great songwriter. Roberta Flack writing great songs. Probably wouldn't resonate.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, Kanye's new stuff, you can't really compare it to the old stuff.
No, but
It's
what
cool.
Sonically, it's cool.
It's cool.
But I say this, and I don't mean to say this about the Christians, but every time you go into a situation, one of the things that people then go to is they find God, right? They find that form of Christianity that they get to. And just like when you start anything else, you're going to be an evangelist and you're going to, Jesus, 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 you need to change, you need to change. And Kanye's move is different. Like, I got Kid Cudi's album, and Kid is my dude. And some of it is glimpses of Solo Dolo, but he's become a different person. I haven't heard anything from Kendrick in a while, and I have a feeling that when we do, it's gonna have to try to be at a level it was in 2012.
Yeah, I mean, Damn was a masterpiece.
Right.
A masterpiece. And yeah, I mean, look, and you know, you mentioned 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz kind of got into his groove later on.
Right. Busta Rhymes' new album is hot though.
I haven't heard it yet.
Busta Rhymes he waited and watched. Busta Rhymes always been dope to me, but this new album's not that bad. And 2 Chainz' last album was dope too. 2 Chainz has some unbelievable bangers on that record.
But in both of those cases, when you compare both of those guys at their height, like you look at like a Woo-Ha Buster, and this album isn't doing that.
Yeah.
From, like I said, I haven't heard it yet, but it's not creating that energy and that, you know.
Let's go back to basketball. LeBron is the NBA MVP in the NBA, but Giannis is the NBA MVP of the NBA. And that's what's happening. LeBron is doing the same thing, if not better, but the audience is still looking over here because they have to move forward. So I think the problem is they may be hitting, but the audience changed. I remember I told you one time this kid told me, Kobe Bryant is the greatest player he's ever seen in his life. I said, how old are you? He said, 16. He was correct.
Yeah.
He
there
was
you
correct.
go. Yeah, because
I
he's
said
too
you're
young
right.
to remember everyone else.
Right.
Became, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's, you know, just like Mike Tyson is my favorite boxer of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would say Muhammad Ali, but I'm too young to
Right.
experience Muhammad Ali in his heyday.
Right.
So to me, it's Tyson. To a 30-year-old, it's going to be Holyfield. I mean, it's going to be Mayweather.
Man, it's so funny you said Muhammad Ali. My artist, Veda, gave me, I lost my comic book collection. And still bothers me to this day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy on the excuses on why it's not where it's supposed to be.
I got some comics. I actually got rid of a lot of stuff.
Oh, no.
I wish I would have known.
I had Spider-Man #1. I had all the good
shit.
stuff.
Okay, yeah. You had some big shit.
I also had Muhammad Ali versus Superman.
I remember that comic book. Yeah.
She found it and got it for me. And I literally put on gloves and opened it like this. I got to see it one more time, put it back in the sealed. Well, I got a Richie Rich #1, but I got that framed. Yeah, Muhammad Ali. I listened, that's how old I am. I listened to Muhammad Ali on the radio.
I got to interview Larry Holmes.
Yeah, I love Larry.
Since our last interview. And he described the Muhammad Ali fight. He said he didn't even close his fist. He just was slapping him because he used to train with Ali.
Yeah.
He would go with Ali to Thriller Manila and Rumble in the Jungle. And that was like his hero. And he was put in this ring with this guy. And he would tell the referee, like, you gonna stop this? And the referee would say, shut up and box.
Yeah.
And so he had to keep boxing him until it was finally over. And he cried afterwards. Muhammad Ali in the ring. And every round you're dominating. And then by the 10th round, Ali's trainer, Angelo Dundee, he stopped the fight, which was the first time that Ali had ever stopped a fight in his entire career.
Well, did you see me, when you watch this replay on there, when I walked back to my corner, I was walking back to my corner, I doing like this. What do you want to do? Want me to kill the guy, huh? You know, listen, they know, Angelo Dundee knew that I could whoop Muhammad Ali, that he ain't had a chance because I was his sparring partner. I was in there every day with the man. I know how he fought. I know if he threw it left, I knew if he threw it right. I know how he blocked his punches. He didn't have none of that. And I said, what I got to do? I don't want to kill the guy, but I'm going to beat on him some more, okay? And that's the way it was. And after the fight, I went to his dressing room, and he was there. You said, I want Holmes, I want Holmes, I want Holmes. I said, you don't want me no more, man. You don't want me no more. I grabbed him, hugged him, gave him a kiss, and told him, I said, you'll be the greatest, man. You always be the greatest in my book.
Right, and you were actually crying after that fight because you felt
man,
bad. Man,
my wife is out here. My wife, you got me crying. My wife gonna kill me. Yeah, I was crying a little bit. Yeah, Ali was my buddy. She know it. Everybody know it. Everybody that was at the fight knew Ali was my buddy, and it wasn't for me to go out there to beat him up, destroy him. Even though people was doing beat him up, hit him, all that, they're going crazy, because everybody didn't like Ali, and they were telling me to hit him. But I didn't want to kill a guy. Crazy? I'm not going to do that.
He cried. And in fact, what Tyson did to Larry Holmes was payback for Ali. Because when Larry Holmes beat Ali, Mike Tyson cried. He said they were watching this, and they all cried as this was happening. So he was like, all right, when I get in the ring with this guy, it's gonna be payback time.
And Ali was getting the crap beat out of him for 10 rounds. And when they stopped, everybody was crying. Me, cuz we all got out the movie theater, we went in the car, and it's a 30-mile drive, we didn't say one word. We all hurt.
Same thing with Trevor Burbick.
Really?
Who really, really brutalized Ali at the end. That was Ali's last fight.
Yeah, but see, that was the deal, man. That's how they wanted people to go out. They wanted them to go out on their back. They don't want you to go out standing. They want you to go out, bow out, hand to the next person.
Although, and I remember me and Larry talked about this, about why Ali got back in the ring with the Parkinson's already. You could tell in the pre-fight interviews he was much slower than he was. I said, this guy was making millions of dollars. Why did he go back? So he was also spending millions of dollars. He had a big entourage. He had spending habits and so forth. And he got back in that ring for money. And it ended badly, man. Like we didn't want to see that shit.
Man, I had Larry Holmes on the Best Damn Sports Show, and I tell you, I don't even know if you see if I have lips. I'm smiling so big. I love Larry Holmes.
I love Larry Holmes. Man.
And I was like, Larry, man, you look high already. Like he had the glasses on.
I also interviewed Buster Douglas. I got to do Mike Tyson, and I got other boxing interviews in the works. But Larry Holmes is 70 years old, something like that. He's getting up there in age. Completely lucid. Speaks clearly, distinctly. He's rich. Lives in a huge mansion in Easton, Pennsylvania, his hometown. He has a statue in that town. He has a street.
Well, he didn't get hit in the head a lot. He's tall.
Yeah. Plus, he had one of the baddest jabs ever.
Right. And he just had to take a lot of body shots.
Right. But
with pads.
He owned business centers that he employed, citizens of his hometown in there. Like, I love to hear stories like this.
He and George Foreman did it correctly.
Him and George Foreman. And now Mike Tyson today.
Yeah.
After all the, because Mike Tyson, he owns weed banks. You know about this?
Weed banks.
He mentioned this in our interview.
I know they're doing an unbelievable job with Tyson Ranch with the merchandise.
There's that, right?
Right.
But he owned, I think, 2, because if you own a marijuana business, you can't get a bank account, right?
Yeah, I started in banking. So look good. So I started in banking and cannabis. So let me explain. He has a merchant account offshore that charges you more percentage when you use your credit card. So there was a place called the Vault that also did it. That would take money. But I just opened up another business account at a bank. I'm not going to say the name, Chase. It took me an hour to open up the account. The questions they asked me were phenomenal. I've never been answered those questions. Is it a cannabis business? Is it a pornography business? Is the money coming in from overseas? What kind of merchant account are you going to use?
Yeah.
It was so not wanting cannabis money. And I'm in there wearing we'd be better off.
Right.
And I'm like, after a while, trying to do my interview, like, don't even read the shirt. And the guy's looking at it, I said, no, it's not cannabis. And he was, Sal, seriously, you can't run it through. The banks are making such a huge mistake.
This is what I'm saying. And from what I understand, from what he said in our interview, he's got these banks that the weed people could go and bank with.
Yeah.
Tyson seems like he has, well, number one, it seems like his wife is really key to this whole thing.
Right.
He spoke very highly.
It's good to have a good woman with you. Right?
Yeah.
Like I said, behind every good man is a woman holding him up.
Right. I agree. And man, he's straight. That whole boxing match with Roy Jones was his promotion company.
Yeah.
He's got his own league now, a Legends Only league. Like he's
good.
He's good, man.
They left a lot of mistakes. Let me tell you though, when I'm watching it and I'm seeing these guys spread out, I'm looking at that black felt and I said, how is that not being advertised? And I kept thinking, why is it no sponsorship? All this, and then when his fight came on, it started lighting up over the
sponsorships
stage.
everywhere. Yeah.
But the reason there was no sponsors is because a major sponsor was Weed Maps. And the other sponsors are stupid.
Ah, right. Yeah, Weed Maps was
The major
sponsor
sponsor.
of that fight. Yeah.
I wish, I pray the Holyfield fight happens. There will be deuces. When you watch, damn near I might have a hat or a collar on anybody commenting. There's no way that place should have been bombarded with advertising, just like NFL on Fox at the Ford desk or the GMC desk or the Aflac desk. Those guys who didn't are stupid.
Yep. I hope that fight happens. I look forward to it.
All right, Vlad. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. John
And I
Salley.
mean that.
Always a pleasure.
Always.
Till next time. Peace.
Vibrations.